Dear friends and seekers, welcome to Beyond the Stars Astrology. Well, in this video, I will give a talk on Neecha Bang and Neecha Bang Raja Yoga, two different themes in Vedic astrology. Now, Neecha Bang means the cancellation of your debilitated planet in the birth chart. So let's start with this. Now, before we start, you want to know the exact debilitation degrees of the planets, or specifically the planet that is debilitated in your chart or the charts of friends and students that you are studying. Why do I say this? Because if the planet is growing towards its deepest debilitation degrees in Dasha, it will still be a bit complicated, while if the planet which is considered debilitated in the Rashi is already past that exact debilitation degrees and moving towards its exaltation degrees, it's actually going to give a sense of growth in Dasha. So you want to know the exact deep debilitation degrees of the planet. Now, that said, you want to check your birth chart, see if you have any debilitated planets. It doesn't matter if you use sidereal Rashis or tropical Rashis or the Aditya Rashis. A debilitated planet in your calculations will be that reading for you. Now, what is a debilitated planet? And that's why you could go to my Vedic astrology course, because there's a whole lot of information about the conditions of planets, the avashtas. And especially when it comes to debilitation, we have a deep tadyavashta, a circumstance. And that deep tadyavashta is called kopi, or very low. So it's at its lowest point. So energetically, this planet will generate certain difficult circumstances in your life. And this is considered alarmed. So whenever you see a debilitated planet in your chart or somebody's chart, it's an alarming condition. Alarming circumstances will manifest in the dasha of that planet. Now, debilitation, deep tadyavashtas, is circumstantial. Even though the circumstances can be alarming, one can still feel fulfilled if, for example, there is a beneficial aspect to that planet as a friend. And that is the Lajitadyavashtas. So in the Lajitadyavashtas, there is no mentioning of debilitation. It's either in a friends or a neutral or an enemy Rashi. So we're speaking about aspects of friends and enemies especially. So when the Lajitadyavashta is more about self-fulfillment, how happy you are, how in tune you are with your inner intuition, and just feeling happy and fulfilled in life. And that is because of aspects of friends. So, for example, Saturn's debilitation is in the Rashi of Mars. And that is already a bit complicated because Mars is an enemy to Saturn. And that means in the dasha of Saturn, it will already generate difficult circumstances, and you will feel pretty much frustrated about fighting for things that you actually have to let go of, which is Mars aspecting or Mars aspects or relationship to Saturn. So that is a difficult example. That's why Saturn is also a very difficult planet, because its debilitation Rashi is in Mars. So it depends on which planet it is in which Rashi of debilitation. Now, the next thing is the Neecha Bang, a cancellation of that debilitation. When does this planet, even though it is debilitated, is going to give good results? And that's where you want to look at the different strengths of that planet, especially Chestabala and Digbala, because we have three strengths, Ucha, Chesta, and Digbala. When a planet is debilitated on its deep debilitation degrees, there is no Ucha. It does not have strengths, which is certain qualities or situations that you are just born with. For example, some people are just born with a lot of money, with an inheritance, with certain skills, with a certain early love that end up in an early marriage for the rest of their life. This is Ucha. You have a lot of Ucha, you have a lot of gifts from the universe. But when a planet is in debilitation, it does not have that Ucha. So you already start with a shortcoming. Now that shortcoming can be neutralized or Neecha Bang or cancelled. This debilitation can be cancelled, this low Ucha, by strong Chestabala when a planet is retrograde. So first of all, you want to check if this planet is retrograde or not, because that means there's going to be a lot of Chesta there. So that planet, even though with low Ucha, it's going to work for you, especially in that dasha, and cancel the debilitation. And it's not going to be as bad as you might think in the dasha of that planet. And also Digbala, the directional strength, is very important, because what is Digbala? Digbala means is the strength of being able to navigate between Ucha and Chesta. That means Digbala will make sure that that Chesta is also working, even though if Chesta is not so much there. So Digbala even more important than Chesta. But if a planet is retrograde, it's going to cancel that debilitation, because it's still going to work for you. It's not going to be as bad as after all. And also if it's has a lot of directional strength. So directional strength for Jupiter and Mercury is in the first cusp or the first house. Directional strength for Mars and the Sun is in the 10th house. Directional strength for Saturn is in the 7th house, and directional strength for Moon and Venus is in the 4th house. So very important, because that's gonna make sure that those planets are still working even though it is debilitated. Now the Neecha Bang is also formed when the debilitated planet is conjunct an exalted planet or in its own house degrees and Mula Trikona. If the Lord of the debilitated planet aspects the debilitated planet, so for example, now in transit, we see Mars is exalted and it's aspecting 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's aspecting Saturn in Aries here. So that is an example. But the Lord must have good dignity. If the Lord doesn't have good dignity, it's not going to do as much to form the Neecha Bang. And preferably, it should also be a friend of that planet, because otherwise the Lajitari Avashta will still be there. And you want to do this with the Rasi aspects also. You want to check the aspects of the Rashis. And another case is if the debilitated planet is in an angle from the Lagna or the moon, but not so many astrologers look at this, and the best one would be if it's in the 10th from the Lagna. So it depends if you are more Lagna orientated or if you really Chandra Lagna orientated. I work with the Lagna itself, so most of this is if the debilitated planet is in the 10th from the Lagna, it can still offer some results in Dasha. So that is very important. So things will not fall apart in your Dasha timings. Now, the Neecha Bang Raja Yoga. Now, what is this? That means a Raja Yoga is formed that will grant success, but success is not always equal to fulfillment or wealth. Success comes in many ways. I think it's more something external rather than feeling internally happy and fulfilled, because you have many successful people, but they're not happy on the inside. So that is why. So Neecha Bang Raja Yoga happens when the Lord of the debilitated planet is in an angle from the Lagna, or the moon. So that means over here Saturn is debilitated, so the Lord is Mars if it's in an angle from the Lagna or the moon. So it's here together with the moon at the moment. So that is considered a Neecha Bang Raja Yoga. So the dasha of the Lord will make up for the shortcomings of the debilitation. So pay attention here, it's not the debilitated planet that will give the good results. The Raja Yoga will be formed on the dasha of the Lord. So the Raja Yoga is formed on the Lord of the debilitated planet. Another example of a Neecha Bang Raja Yoga is the planet which is exalted in the Rashi of the debilitated planet is in an angle from the Lagna of the moon. So over here in debilitation is Saturn. So the planet that would be exalted here is Sun, is in an angle from the Lagna or the moon. So again, then the dasha of the Sun will activate that Raja Yoga, and in the dasha of the Sun, one will make up for the shortcomings of the debilitation. Then the next one is the Lord of the sign in which the debilitated planet is exalted is in an angle from the Lagna or the moon. So that means the Lord of the sign in which the debilitated planet is exalted. So Saturn is exalted in Libra. So if Venus is in an angle from the Lagna or the moon, Neecha Bang Raja Yoga will be formed in the dashas of Venus. And then the last one is if the Lord of the debilitated planet and the Lord of the exaltation of the debilitated planet are conjunct or in angles from each other. And then the dashas of both planets will give success. So for example, over here, Saturn is debilitated. The Lord of Saturn here is Mars, and Saturn is exalted in Libra. So if Venus and Mars are conjunct or in angles from each other, their dashas will give success, and the Raja Yoga of the Neecha Bang will be formed. Now, some say over here also Vargotama. I forgot this. The Neecha Bang is also formed when and that planet is exalted, Mula Trikona, or own house in the Navamsha. It's not a Neecha Bang Raja Yoga. It's not a Neecha Bang Raja Yoga. It's a Neecha Bang. It's a cancellation of the debilitation. And some say, yeah, if Vargotama, but Vargotama means double debilitation. And so you don't want to count Vargotama unless it's in the Lagna or the moon. Then there is a special Neecha Bang also, or that Vargotama will give structure, will protect you from complete disaster. So keep in mind also the dignity in the Navamsha own house, Mula Trikona, or exalted. And if it's Vargotama, it will be only a Vargotama moon or the Lagna. So I hope this video helps. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next recording.